What's good, you gorgeous bastards? I'm sure all of you are familiar with the chicken thigh. Super versatile cut of meat, really damn delicious. Cooked almost any way. On the fire, in the oven, air fryer, on a pan, you name it. When done right, it's super damn delicious. Hell, you can even screw it up a little bit. And let's be honest, it's still pretty damn good compared to a chicken breast where if you just screw it up by a little bit, that thing is probably dry as hell or flavorless. The annoying thing about chicken thighs though, specifically with the bone in, is that it takes quite a while to cook. Usually when you're trying to gauge whether it's done or not, it's a bit hard to tell unless you cook it for way too long. But then it's probably a little bit tough, but you suck it up because you know it's cooked. Or you do this slightly unorthodox thing of slicing it in half, or at least slicing a little slit open to kind of see if it's done or not. And that kind of leads to the chicken thigh leaking a bunch of juices and, you know, not being as tender as it could have been. So, what's the best way to accurately tell if it's done? That's usually with the thermometer, right? Once it hits roughly 70 degrees Celsius, that's roughly a good indication of chicken thigh is done. And you can let it go on to cook for another few degrees, up to 75 or 80. That's perfectly fine. As long as the temperature reads right, you're good. But that's the thing, not all of us have a thermometer, so usually we either use experience or cutting it in half to tell it's done. That's largely an issue with the bone-in chicken thighs, since it takes so much longer to cook, and it runs into that issue of if the flame is too high, the outside gets cooked and the inside's still raw. And for a lot of people that's in a hurry or don't have as much experience cooking chicken thighs, waiting for so damn long just to get your meal ready, it's pretty annoying, especially if you're not sure if you're gonna get a salmonella. So my solution to this, debone these suckers. When they're deboned, they cook super quickly on high heat. By cooking them once or twice, you'll quickly find out the time range that these boys cook in, and it is really, really damn efficient. We're talking less than 10 minutes, sometimes even 6 to 8. And you're wondering to yourself, 6 to 8 minutes for chicken thighs? Yeah. When it's deboned, it's so thin, it survives really high heat. You can't screw it up, so it's a win-win situation. And on top of that, if you debone it by yourself, you keep the skin, which retains a lot more fat, adding more flavor to it, and also protecting the meat under it. Who doesn't like a crispy skin, right? Second thing is, you get to keep the bones yourself. That way, these bones can be used for chicken stock or chicken broths, anything you like really. So you'll be saving a lot more money and actually getting more. Now, without further ado, let me show you guys how to debone a chicken thigh. And on top of that, I'll show you how to debone a chicken drumstick as well. Along with a little quick recipe inspired by chicken adobo at the end that you can whip up for yourself real quick, super tasty. So let's go. To debone chicken thighs, I usually use two methods. One, with a knife, but the second, with just your hands. I'm gonna show you guys how to do it without the knife first, just to show you how straightforward it is. Now, the trick is to use your thumbs to kind of push the meat off the bone. So I like to usually start here, where the thigh bone connects to the base. Use your thumb and place it underneath, and you push it through. Like that. Pops right off. Now with your thumb, go along the base, and just peel that off. There we go. Now you turn it around where the thigh bone is, and just kind of disconnect the tissue away from the bone using just your fingers. Now it should be completely separated from the base. Now with the knife it would be a lot easier, but since we're just using our hands, I'm just going to pull the tissue away from the bone. Like that. And then you just peel it right off. And that's it. When using a knife, it's pretty much the same process where you'll be separating the meat from the base of the bone first. Like so. I still prefer to use my thumbs just to sever, pull off any additional piece of meat that clings onto the bone. And here, where the thigh meets the base, this little tendon piece, severing off this piece with the knife makes it a whole lot easier. Once that's been severed, all you need to do is squeeze around the thigh bone with your index finger and thumb and pull. and should pop off just like that. Now, usually when you do that, you'll pull off a bit of the cartilage from the thigh bone. I personally kind of like the taste of cartilage, but if you don't like it, simply just cut it off, and that's it. Got deboned chicken thighs. Moving on to the drumstick. Sadly, you're unable to do this without a knife or a pair of scissors, since the tendons are pretty stubborn, but it's a whole lot easier than deboning chicken thigh. So let's get right into it. First things first, there's a whole bunch of tendons around here that you'll need to slice off. I personally like to grab the thickest part like this, and with a knife you insert it in, turn it up, and then slice out. Do that all around until everything's severed. Then insert the knife down the middle and slice it up. This exposes it and opens up to the bone, in which you can peel it open like this and separate it from the bone with the thumb. Be sure to avoid that little bone that's connected with the drumstick. It should be good. Now, once you're here, sever off the remaining connective tissue. And there you have deboned chicken drumsticks. Now as for the recipe, the best part about it is how customizable it is. I don't measure anything. For the most part, you only need 3 ingredients. Soy sauce, garlic, and sugar. With those 3 alone, you can really make your chicken thighs pop. But I'm gonna add in a few more things, taking heavy inspiration from Filipino adobo to make this slightly fancier. But in all honesty, it's just adding a bit extra things to make an already tasty dish even better. So, what are these extra ingredients? There are Sichuan peppercorn, star anise, and bay leaves. So in the mixed bowl, we're going to have our chicken thighs. Follow that up with soy sauce. I usually add around 2 to 3 tablespoons. And if it's not salty enough, I'll just add in more salt at the end or more soy sauce while cooking. Follow that up with vinegar. I'm specifically using rice vinegar, but you can go with anything you want. Garlic. I personally really love my garlic, so I'm gonna add like 4 or 5 cloves. And lastly, the spices. Bay leaves, Sichuan peppercorns, and star anise. Give that all a mix. And let this marinate for like 30 minutes. If you're in a hurry, you can just cook it immediately. It'll still taste fucking banging. Now as for the cooking method, you can't go wrong with throwing it on the fire, air frying it, baking it in the oven. But today, I'm gonna show you the simplest one of them all. Let's just do it in a pan. Medium-high heat. No need for oil since the chicken thighs have plenty that will render out. Skin side down. I usually like to cook it medium-high. But if you're feeling cheeky, you can absolutely turn it up to high. You just have to be a little bit quick on your feet and constantly flip them. Throw in the rest of the marinade. A little bit of dark soy sauce, optional, just for a bit of color. Absolutely, you could have added this during the marinade. I just forgot. Add in a little bit of water so the liquid doesn't dry out, since we want a nice sticky sauce. So this whole process took around 8 to 10 minutes. Once the majority of the water has evaporated and the sauce is nice and sticky, your chicken should be ready. Serve it up on a nice bed of rice. Drizzle on that sauce. Then you're done. Deboned chicken thighs inspired by Filipino adobo. So tender, juicy. Whew. Oh, that is a spot, man. Goes down with rice so well. I used to make this almost every other day for years. And as I said, this recipe, super customizable. You can play around with it. You don't have to use the ingredients that I listed. You can try out by replacing soy sauce with Worcestershire sauce. You know, try out swapping out the vinegar for some lime. Throw in a bit of mirin instead of sugar for that sweetness. Oh, you're gonna have a good time. I'm gonna go enjoy my tender chicken. See ya.